Callahan, I feel like this is one of those things that no matter how many times, whether you're making videos in your garage like I do, or you're, on Media Hill and banging out 8,000 word columns somewhere between a workspace and NBC Sports Boston about everything going on at training camp. We've been, I'll go back to the Marvel Universe. I've been the Silver Surfer of this, just swooping in, heralding people, letting them know, like, guys, he's probably going to get traded. It doesn't make sense. There are 7 receivers in this room. They're not going to carry more than 6. There's upside and developmental potential with Chisholm and with Kyle Williams. But Kyle Williams, they're not going to go down, Aaron Dobson Boulevard. They're not going to go down Taylor Price Lane or Chad Jackson Avenue. They're not going to kick a second or third round receiver to the curb like they have in years past. His speed alone is what's going to keep him on the roster. And after the trade, so many people were just like, hurrah. Why didn't we trade Kyle Williams? Boutte is the best receiver on the team. Like, he's had a great summer. He's had a great camp. He had a great offseason. He's been showing up because he knows it's only going to enhance his value and improve the possibility that he does get traded. And when he gets traded, which ultimately happened, he's going to go pursue an opportunity to be a legitimate number 2 or number 3 and get paid as such. When the Patriots brought in Romeo Doubs on 4 years, $68 million this offseason, we should have all known they viewed Boutte, who, by the way, last year, his stats were very Dobson and or Kenbrell Tompkins-esque. Like, everyone needs to slow down and pump their brakes on this guy being Jerry Rice in 1987. 46 targets, 33 catches. Yes, I know he owns the right of catching the first professional touchdown of Drake May, and no one was happier that he got traded to Houston beyond Derek Stingley, because that guy's like, finally, I don't have to cover him deep when we play the Pats.
To that end, because this is just an outstanding stat I have to share. Derek Stingley has only allowed touchdown catches to 4 players in the entire league. Kayshon Boutte has done that twice. And it's just a name that people should remember. And as we talk about Christian Gonzalez a little bit later in these hot button topics currently at the end of the Patriots preseason, it's important to remember that sometimes the biggest plays stick in the memories both of fans, whether it's a playoff game or that first touchdown, as well as the executives. I know Houston made this trade because Jayden Higgins got hurt. The fact that he did that against them, I think, also greased the wheels of this trade, and yet the return speaks loudest here. So anyway, wrap up, and then I got I think a lot of people probably were also surprised, the Boutte call came from old pal Nick Caserio. Yeah, well, that's because he saw Kayshon Boutte play his ass off a couple times against them and make some of his most dynamic plays against one of the top 5 cornerbacks in football. Was I surprised? Obviously not. Am I disappointed by it? To a degree. There's the relief of not having to make the bad Boutte jokes anymore. But more importantly, this guy gets an opportunity to thrive in an environment with an inferior talent at quarterback for sure, but he's going to be the number 2 receiver there. The second Jayden Higgins went down, you had to know that they weren't going to let Noel or the broken bones of Tank Dell, as talented as the kid is, try to be the number 2 receiver. This is a perfect opportunity for Kayshon Boutte to hopefully one day cash in Dobbs style, but it was not going to be here in New England. Now the receiver room is set. And so this is one less worry for the team that does have depth concerns to move forward with. And I don't hate the return. I would have liked a 2027 7th round pick maybe, or maybe a 2028 6th. But as far as the player himself, there's a good chance the Patriots might be able to get some special teams and secondary depth value out of this kid, which is obviously a concern. Look at the way that they've all been harumphing and crying and complaining about the lack of depth on this team, which you and I have been talking about, by the way, for over a year. What a stunning run they made last year, considering depth is probably concern number 1 across both sides of the ball. Okay, let me stop you there real quick. Why would you get an extra 20 minutes of sleep if this was a 2027 7th round pick instead of a 2028?
Well, because everyone's been telling us it's the draft of the century. That everyone, all the talent and everyone's been making this 2027 draft out to be 255 Luke Kuechly's and Jamar Chase is coming out of the draft, which is nuts. I'm sure it's going to be great, but people have overhyped this thing to such a degree now, it's going to be almost impossible for it to live up to the reputation it's already garnered.
Okay. I'm going to go here for a minute.
Please.
And I'll give you a chance to stop me, because I think it's really important for people in our space when trades like this happen to not do one of 2 things. One is to eulogize in the way, right? Someone passes away.
You only say good things, remember the good times. I think that's largely good-natured, but we can also tell the truth post-death, post-trade, whatever it is. So we want to be honest in that regard. I also don't want to do the, post-breakup, I'm better off without them anyway. I'm glad this happened. You know what? This is the best thing that ever happened to me. You know what? Like, it's a good thing he's gone. Because you stop me when you think I'm not telling the truth about Kayshon Boutte, who I will freely admit, I have had a harder time analyzing, breaking down, putting my finger on the person or the player, to the point I ate fake crow on this show almost a year ago. And I don't know how we're going to celebrate the 1-year anniversary of me cutting that up and eating it, but we'll find a way. So here we go. Stop me when you think I'm not telling the truth. Kayshon Boutte was the number 3 or number 4 receiver on this depth chart. Kayshon Boutte's skill set overlapped with several receivers in this depth chart, number 1 and number 2, A.J. Brown and Romeo Doubs, as well as Kyle Williams. Kayshon Boutte was on the trade block for months. Kayshon Boutte was Drake May's longest tenured deep threat with proven chemistry. Kayshon Boutte never had more than 600 yards in a single season. Kayshon Boutte had 7 games with 1 catch or fewer last season. Kayshon Boutte was not valued as highly by NFL teams as the rest of us on the outside. Kayshon Boutte returns a second-year safety who has some physical traits, some versatility, but was drafted after the Patriots took a kicker in the 6th round last year. That 2028 7th-round pick is a fart in the wind. All right, we're almost there. Patriots Seahawks season opener. In the meantime, preseason football, baseball, the WNBA, and whatever you're watching as we all wait for kickoff, week 1 in Seattle. You got to jump on Prize Picks. And now is better than ever to jump on Prize Picks if you're new, because if you download the app today, you will get $150 instantly in lineups if you win your first $5 lineup. And here's how it works. You pick players who come with stats. You go more or you get less than that stat. And sometimes you can even tweak the number. If you don't like player numbers and stats, fine. You can go winners or totals or spreads, all at Prize Picks, America's #1 sports pick app. We're doing picks on the Pass Interference podcast for every Patriots preseason game and regular season game. So you can ride with my picks, you can fade them, you can show me you know better, or Efton Chisholm's going to go off it, or actually be Romeo Doubs, whoever it is, you can make your picks over at Prize Picks. And if you sign up now, again, this is the deal. Download the app today, use code CLNS to get $150 instantly in lineups if you win your first $5 lineup. One more time. Download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $150 instantly in lineups if you win your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, America's #1 sports pick app.
This man tells no lies, Your Honor.
Okay.
That was a rock solid deposition. At no point did the needle move on the lie detector.
Very good. So in these instances, the other thing that I think media, and I include myself in this, the thing I cannot stand are writers, podcasters, people on TV talking about the media as if it's a separate entity from which they are not a part of. No, I'm in this group. Things we tend to do are underestimate how difficult sometimes it is to make a deal. And this is just not understanding the dynamics, the relationships, the inner workings. So let's say when Elliot Wolf talked later today, he sips a little bit of the truth serum that Mike Vrabel took a shot of before he went to the podium after that last preseason game. And he said, look, the market spoke. The room was stacked. We had to get rid of someone. He was redundant, okay? He didn't play special teams. My thing is, why now? So that's the return. Okay, there's nothing you can do about making calls and making calls and making calls. You didn't believe in him as much as maybe you should have. Fine. But the league definitely believed less. Efton Chisholm and Kyle Williams, I don't think they need to be precious about. I think they fit their roles as a 5th and 6th receiver on a depth chart. But if you have to part with one and you're trying to win a Super Bowl this year, you can't make the case to me that Efton Chisholm and Kyle Williams give you a better chance to do that in Kayshon Boutte. Now, the timing to me, though, is the most curious thing here. Because, okay, you'd rather keep the younger players, the cheaper players, longer contracts for the two of them, fine. If you're going to trade them to a contender anyway, which they did, the Texans are a contender, why not wait until the trade deadline when, A, the market should expand, when other teams like the Texans just experienced lose a receiver, so your market expands. In that time, he provides proven depth in case you lose a receiver, because it's not like Jaylen Reed and a 7th-round pick wouldn't be there in November on November 10th. And if your argument is I went back and forth with someone on Twitter for the first time in ages the other day, well, you think his value would get, greater if he's riding the bench? No. Do you think his value could get lower when this was the return? So I just don't find a lot of things persuasive about this and the pushback that I've got. But what do you make of that, the timing part specifically?
As a matter of fact, I even kept this tweet of yours up. You were you quote tweeted yourself, and then I see the guy at Dunzo D, who you went back and forth with for a while. The market clearly spoke with this return and how long Boutte was available, several months. Other teams didn't want him, but on top of selling for a blah return that doesn't solve big issues, why now? It's a great question to ask. I left that open all night long, looked at it, reviewed it again this morning, and I think it's quite simple. The Patriots do not want to, because Mike Vrabel loves a clear line of communication, and he loves locking the roster, definitive process. I don't think he wants to have any lingering. He doesn't want to have to run the risk of putting Kyle Williams or Efton Chisholm or someone else that he thinks may be part of the short or intermediate future of the Patriots on the block or out there for someone else to snag. You're not keeping 7 receivers. 6 is still the high mark with most teams in the NFL these days, regardless of someone's special team value. This now removes any doubt. This is not, he's not going to have to turn on the radio station I used to work for, or the other radio station that I haven't worked for, and hear what's going to happen with Boutte? He's not getting the opportunities. You're right, Mike. He's not. I don't know about this one, Pats fans. What do you think? That's it. It's done. It is over. It is removed. It is no longer part of the equation or the calculus. You know which 6 receivers they're going into the season with. And as you pointed out earlier, now Drake can clearly have a pecking order as to who's his 1, who's his deep guy, who's his short to intermediate guy, who's this guy, who's that guy. You have a pecking order, you have a room. There's no doubt, no reason to have anybody wonder. So you chemistry is established.
Kayshon Boutte in the room, because
yes.
I watched him play with the starters after Brown and Dobbs, and play with the second team, which to me says exactly what he was. He's the number 4 guy in the room. And look, they could move Dobbs into the slot and play Boutte outside. This idea of, they had other X receivers. Yeah, they had outside guys in a surplus. No debate there. But if you want to have a debate about the better receiver between Kayshon Boutte and Demario Douglas, and I've always been a Pop believer through some of the struggles and the fit in the offense. And I don't think
are we taking the cheese Callahan? Are we taking the cheese this offseason? I think this will be the 4th offseason in a row where we all say the same thing. I don't know. I feel like this is going to be a big Pop Douglas year.
Well, and here's
Andy Hart used to always say, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And then he would say, I think this is going to be a big Tyquan Thornton year when we were doing 6 rings. And I'd be like, damn it. Stop it, Hart. Stop taking the cheese. But with Pop Douglas, I don't know. I saw enough key plays last year that I'm willing to get hurt one more time saying, Callahan, I think this is going to be a big Pop Douglas year. And also, just for dad jokes that you've made alone, and of course, I've never been more proud of you on Twitter, maybe this is a bigger vote of confidence practice squad-wise for he's not delivery, he is DeGennaro. Everyone needs, again,
No, look, I'm proud of that joke. I said it on the show already. But I'm not going to discuss it in a serious way.
No, he's not that's not a serious element in the past.
Here's the thing,
this is the room now. That's it. No more wondering. Will Boutte get traded? Will he not be? Is he unhappy? Is he going to start making noise? He's not going to go full Carl Everett and freak out on everybody. But is he going to be like, hey, I'm not getting my looks. I only got 46 targets last year when I was the clear number 2/3. Now I'm a 3/4. And AJ's getting all these looks, and I think beyond massive incoming season for AJ Brown. And I've already gone on record saying that I think Romeo Doubs will set career highs across the board, may sniff 850 to 900 yards and possibly double-digit touchdowns because of the AJ Brown effect. What's going to be left for Boutte to feed on?
Pause.
Sorry. Okay. What would have been left for Kayshon B?
Look, I don't think that bothers the Patriots, and maybe I'm wrong. I don't think Kayshon Boutte really has any recourse here as much as Todd Downey's talking about. I'll use this example of a guy who wanted to be traded for months, made the request in April. Yeah. The Patriots tried in April, May. Since then, obviously made a deal yesterday to make it happen. Okay, you're the 4th receiver. You want to get traded. What are you going to do? If you and Drew Rosenhaus want to go into the driveway and you want to start doing sit-ups, TO style, good on you. It'd be fun. It'd be a nice little Throwback Thursday video if we're still making those. And to me, if you're the Patriots, you just said, look, we got 2 months until the trade deadline. You've been here, you've hung on, you've had a good camp. I understand what you want. We're still going to make that happen because the deals that we're getting now will be there later. In the meantime, you win. In the meantime, we get other teams, which frankly, if I'm the Patriots, I do not want to send him to Houston. at all, because that is a team that would scare me. And I get that CJ Stroud looked like a mole for the Patriots, hired by Mike Vrabel to play quarterback in that divisional round game. But here's the part about this that I think is under discussed. And it relates to another take that I've heard that I just want to dismiss. And I do think money factored here. And this is cheese in the sense of you will hear that on radio about anything, because on 98.5, and it actually didn't come up on TV last night with Felger, like any chance you get, any little morsel to turn into the crafts are cheap conversation, they will take and run with and gorge on.
Ugh.
The fact that he is making over $3 million as a player, that they could make the case, if you're Elliott Wolf going to ownership and be like, okay, look, this is the offer. It's not good enough. We'd like to wait. We'd like to keep him as a depth piece and trade him a little bit later. And if the response from them is, okay, so we're going to pay him close to $2 million to sit on the bench when we have a guy who's going to play over him and Kyle Williams. No, we're not going to do that. And that, to me, especially as you get closer to the season and you start paying these guys game checks, is persuasive. Not to mention that they are dealing with upfront things that I will talk about a little bit later with Christian Gonzalez and cash flow. I think that's a real factor here, because that helps answer the question of why now. I don't think it's about the pecking order. I think that's established. That's known. The reason Kayshon Boutte wants to get traded is he knows he's not as good as A.J. Brown and Romeo Doubs. And even if he thinks he's as good as Doubs, nobody else in the building does. And this is the last point I'll throw the ball back to. The take that I've seen that is adjacent to this, that I just do not find persuasive at all, is that, well, they wanted to do right by the player. They wanted to do the generous thing. This is the NFL, okay? I know they've been practicing in the summer for the last month. This is not summer camp. They do not deal in generosity. They deal in equity, they deal in money, and championship odds. They lost this trade, lowered their title equity by getting a worse player and a who cares about draft pick. In this instance, what is the material benefit of Kayshon Boutte being a little bit happier? Like, this is a serious question I have to those folks. He says nice things about you to the press. The agent cuts you a favor next time. You get a better reputation around the league. Look, that agent is going to act in their self-interest, just as Kayshon Boutte did here. And here's the other part of how you know this isn't true. If Kayshon Boutte said, please, please, please don't trade me. Don't trade me. They would do it anyway, because they didn't believe in him, as you can see by the return and by them signing Romeo Doubs and trading for A.J. Brown. They would have shipped him wherever they wanted him to go. They couldn't, because the market wasn't there. And as soon as the market showed a pulse, a twitch, they jumped on it, activated that, and took the trade. Your reputation, by the way, oh, he'll say nice things, it'll get around, is your coaching quarterback. People come to play for those guys, as we saw when Belichick was here and was a bitch to deal with at the negotiating table, to agents who complained to me at the end of his tenure about dealing with him. But people love Brady. People love Drake May. That's what they'll come to play for. The idea that they're doing right by the player, teams act in their self-interest. The one time they'll do this is when we're all feeling generous, the holiday season. You know, Fitzy, you're close to a $100,000 bonus, but you missed it by 2 snaps and 2 rushing yards. You know what? Here you go. We're going to the playoffs anyway, baby. Here's the extra money. That's when they're generous. It's not why they did the deal.